The moment I heard the scream through the howling wind, I knew my life was about to change forever. I didn't know how or why, but something in my chest tightened, a feeling that told me this night wouldn't be like any other. If I had known what would happen next, I might have turned back. But destiny has a way of pulling you forward, even when the road is buried under a foot of snow. It started on a Friday afternoon, the kind of day where the sky looks angry long before the storm hits. My best friend Jake had asked me to stop by his house to borrow his notes for a project. I didn't think much of it. I had been going to his place for years. His mom, Claire, was always there, calm, warm, and endlessly patient. She was the type of mom who remembered everyone's favorite snack, the type you could talk to even about things you couldn't tell your own parents. She greeted me at the door with a tired smile, explaining that Jake had been called into work unexpectedly but had left his notebook in the car. I can get it from the garage, I offered, but she shook her head quickly. No, it's okay. I'll grab it. The wind's getting bad already. We walked outside together toward her car because she didn't want me standing out alone in the cold. But the storm was faster than either of us expected. One moment it was flurries, the next it was a blinding wall of white. When she reached into her car to get the notebook, a sudden gust slammed the door shut while knocking out the power on their entire street. And that was when we heard it, the scream. It came from somewhere behind the house, maybe someone calling for help, maybe something else entirely. We both froze. Stay here, she said firmly, but I didn't listen. I followed her because something felt wrong, and I didn't want her going alone. We made our way toward the back of the house, but the snow fell so fast it erased the path behind us. When the wind roared again, we lost our sense of direction completely. The snowstorm swallowed us whole, leaving nothing but a white, spinning void. We need shelter, she said, shouting over the wind. There's an old cabin up the hill. Jake's father used it for hunting years ago. We trudged through knee-deep snow, leaning into the storm, slipping, falling, and scrambling up again. By the time we found the cabin, my hands were shaking uncontrollably, and her lips were pale. She fumbled with the key she kept on her ring just in case, and the moment we stepped inside, we collapsed on the floor, breathless. The cabin was freezing, no heat, no blankets, no electricity, but it was shelter. We shut the door against the wind, and for the first time in an hour, we could think. We'll have to keep each other warm, she whispered, rubbing her arms. It's the only way to avoid hypothermia. I swallowed hard. Not because the idea felt strange, but because I had never seen her look scared before. Claire was always composed, always in control. But tonight, she was worried, really worried. We sat close, sharing body heat, layered in whatever old jackets and cloth we could find. For a long time, neither of us spoke. The wind rattled the windows so violently it sounded like it wanted to break in. I noticed her breathing slowly steadied as she leaned against me, trusting me, depending on me. And something shifted inside my chest, something I wasn't prepared for. We're going to be okay, I told her softly. She closed her eyes and nodded, as if the words alone warmed her, but deep down, I wasn't sure. The night stretched endlessly, the storm refusing to let up. Hours passed, and the temperature continued to drop. We huddled closer, wrapped in a dusty old tarp we found in a corner. It wasn't much, but it trapped our shared warmth. I could feel her trembling before she finally spoke. I shouldn't have dragged you into this, she murmured. You're just a kid. I'm supposed to protect you. You didn't drag me, I replied. I followed because I care. And because you've always been there for me. You think I'd leave you out here alone? She let out a shaky breath, one that sounded like it carried years of unspoken weight. You remind me so much of your father, she said. Strong. Kind. The type of person who runs into storms instead of away from them. Hearing her say that almost broke me. My father had passed away when I was 14. He was the one who taught me loyalty, courage, and how to be a good man. To have her see that in me, it meant more than she could ever know. We talked for a long time, about Jake, about life, about the things she wished she'd done differently. At some point, the fear faded, replaced by an unexpected calmness. Being stranded with her didn't feel terrifying anymore, it felt grounding. Human. Real. Around dawn, the storm finally weakened. Light filtered through the window, landing across her face. She looked exhausted, but alive. And that alone felt like a miracle. When rescue crews finally found us, thanks to a frantic call from Jake when he couldn't reach either of us, they rushed in with blankets and questions. But as Claire and I stood together, wrapped in a shared blanket, she looked at me with gratitude deeper than words. "Thank you," she whispered. "For staying. For not letting me face the storm alone." I smiled, shaking my head. "You kept me warm too." On the ride back, I kept replaying that night in my mind, the fear, the trust, the connection. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't inappropriate. It was two people facing something terrifying together and coming out stronger, and the inspiring message I carried from that night was simple: sometimes the storms in life aren't meant to break you, they're meant to bring you closer to the people who help you survive them, because warmth isn't just a temperature, sometimes it's a person.